Hey guys, I've got a 2015 Buick here, brand new one, and well, the wheel just stopped spinning actually. The complaint was there's a grinding noise whenever the car is going straight or making left-hand turns. So I went out and drove it, verified the concern. This car only has 25 miles on it, but there we go. I can get this to spin again. Got it running up in the air, as you can see. The other wheel over there spinning. And listen to how that sounds. That just sounds awesome. I believe it's a wheel bearing, based on the feedback I get whenever I put my hand here on the spindle. You can feel it grinding, and I don't really feel anything in the axle. But I could be wrong. It could be a CV shaft as well. But it's primarily doing it whenever it's going straight or turning to the left. So I'm going to take the wheel bearing apart. Take the wheel bearing off right quick. It's not too difficult to get off of this one. Let's see exactly what I find. I don't want to order the wrong part here, but yeah, just listen to that. That sounds awesome. There, it just stopped again. I can't even get the thing to move now. Alright, there it goes. It just stopped again. I'm going to pull the wheel bearing off. Okay guys, hope you can hear me a little better this video. I got the Buick back up in the air, you can see here, and this was, like I said, another cool find. So you could hear the grinding noise in the previous clip that you saw, and it turned out to be a spare part. As you can see, I took the axle nut out, got it sitting right over here, and I started hammering the axle shaft in to make it easier to get to the hub bolts here. Let me turn the light on. So the hub bearing bolts are right here. They're kind of tucked behind the axle shaft a little bit. They're right by this pink line here. That's the hub bolts. So I was hammering the axle in to make it easier to get to those bolts, and all of a sudden a nut falls out onto the ground. I thought, well, that's weird. I haven't taken anything loose except the caliper and the axle and the wheel. That's it. So I had this nut here fall out of the spindle onto the ground, and I looked at it and I thought, man, this has been rubbing a little bit. As you can see, there's edges on it where it's been scraping and where it's been rubbing, and I put two and two together, took a look at the axle shaft here, and sure enough, you can see, if you look close in the previous clip, you can see that ring on the axle shaft itself. And then if you look at the top hub bolt there, you can actually see a wear mark up there. And what had happened was, I'm guessing during assembly, this little nut, which is actually for the spindle, goes right here. It's one of these. It's got the same marks on it and everything. It threads right on. So my guess is that when this vehicle was being assembled, whoever was responsible for putting the spindle on dropped this nut, and it fell right in there. So as you can see, whenever that axle shaft slides back into place, it'll rub against that nut perfectly, and that's what's causing the wear marks on that spare spindle nut. So the wheel bearing is perfectly fine once I got the nut out. If I can get it out now. Once I got the nut out, I spun the wheels, and they spun perfectly fine with no noise. So that was a problem right there. I kind of figured it had to be something like that with only 25 miles on the car. So I removed the nut and everything's good to go. And there she is. That was the cause of the whole problem. Just a little spare part. Keep it as a souvenir.